Pan is directed by Joe Wright and is essentially an origin story for Peter Pan. It details Peter's first journey to Neverland, his meeting of Captain Hook, and his becoming one of the most legendary childhood fictional characters there is. And in this film, wow, way to piss on the legacy of one of the most beloved childhood stories there is. Seriously, way to piss on it from a great height. Let's start with the good stuff. Let's start positively. This film looks great. It really does. There are moments of proper visual flair in this film. On occasions, the CGI looks a bit ropey, especially when it comes to Peter when he does flying scenes. It does look a bit ropey. It looks a bit fake. Other than that, though, I really can't fault the film in terms of its look. The cinematography is great. It's so colourful and so vibrant. Our journey to Neverland on a flying pirate ship, because why not? It lasts about 2 minutes and it is visually just fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Loved it. Unfortunately, I thought that could be the setup to a great film. Unfortunately, instead, it is by a mile the best 2 minutes of the film, because the rest of it is absolute crap. Let's start with the plot. The really boring, cliched plot. Blackbeard, played by Hugh Jackman, has essentially turned Neverland into a slave mine and is trying to get as much fairy dust, as much pixum as he can in order to stay young and stay immortal. And his eventual plan is to take over the natives of Neverland by force to get all the pixum he can. And Peter, obviously, once he gets to Neverland, has to fight him. You just don't give a toss. You don't give a toss. It's boring, cliche, it's been done before, no one cares. Now, let's put on top of this really boring plot a lazy script, really undeveloped two-dimensional characters, and some of the worst performances I've seen in a film for a really long time. Rooney Mara. We'll start with Rooney Mara because she at least gets some credit. Not a lot, she's still not good in it, but she is at least doing her best with the little she's been given with this plot and this script. She is at least trying. The other three main leads, oh wow. You've got Hugh Jackman as Blackbeard. Now, I thought I'd seen Hugh Jackman overact. Chappie, for example, he overacts a lot in that film. He actually even might have exceeded Nicolas Cage levels in this film. He is just in another bloody stratosphere. Every moment he's on screen, he's just bloody chewing the scenery. It kind of, I suppose, fits the again, colourful, vibrant nature of the film. The problem is, he's so over the top, so in your face, and so bloody ridiculous. He's not in the least bit threatening. He's your main baddie, and he is not in the least bit threatening. If anything, he's funny. That's an issue. I'm sorry, it just is. Even in a kids' film, your bad guy at least has to have a tiny bit of threat. Blackbeard just doesn't. After that, we have Captain Hook. They have managed to make Captain Hook into basically a young, poor parody of Indiana Jones who's had a bit too much sugar. Garrett Hedlund is again an incredibly two-dimensional character. His delivery is incredibly weird as well. No one has that accent. No one. It's incredibly forced. It sounds incredibly forced. And you just don't believe the character for a second. The other interesting thing I find with Captain Hook is they clearly mean this film to have a sequel, and bloody hope it doesn't. But the one thing I would find genuinely fascinating is how the hell they're going to get Captain Hook from where he is in this film to becoming the Captain Hook we all love to hate. Because, quite frankly, it's going to need a bloody lobotomy. I don't see how the hell you could get from that character to the character you need to get to. Unless they're going to introduce a really bizarre schizophrenia subplot, I genuinely don't understand it. After the interesting experience of Captain Hook, we have Peter himself, played by Levi Miller. Now, he is not completely to blame. He is mostly to blame, but not completely. The scripting and the direction, Jesus Christ, are certainly also to blame. However, I do not say this lightly, but Levi Miller in this film is the most annoying child actor I have seen since Phantom Menace. And I mean that completely. It got to the point where I just couldn't bear to see him on the screen anymore. And considering he's your main lead, that's not a good thing. There's multiple problems here. The first one is the fact that his delivery, his performance felt incredibly wooden. It felt really stage schooly, but kind of want of a better term. It made it completely unbelievable. I didn't believe him as Pan for a second. The other problem is the fact that, similarly to Captain Hook, his delivery of his lines is incredibly odd and makes no sense in the film. Consider this. Peter is introduced in this film as an orphan, an uneducated orphan. He can't read, and he spent his entire life living with other young boys in an orphanage in London. And yet, the entire film, he speaks perfectly. Perfect Queen's perfect enunciation, perfect elocution, perfect Queen's English with a slightly forced Mockney twang to it. It makes no sense. He doesn't use any slang the whole film. Not one bit when you've spent your entire life growing up with other young boys in the middle of London. You're speaking the Queen's English with received pronunciation. What? I blame him mostly, but also, seriously, as a director, wouldn't you have taken your main lead to the side at some point and pointed out, you know what? I've realised the way you're delivering your lines makes absolutely no bloody sense in the context of this film and is, frankly, ruining what is already a pretty damn crap film. It got to the point where he was just pissing me off. Really properly pissing me off. The film wasn't good in the first place, and I don't think anyone could have really saved it, but he really, really amplified the fact that I was not enjoying this. For the last 30 to 40 minutes, I just wanted to end. I was so bored and so pissed off with Pan, I just wanted it to end. If you have young kids, based on the reactions I saw in the cinema, if you have young kids, then they will enjoy it. I still don't think they'll be massively enthusiastic about it. The ones I witnessed certainly weren't, but they'll enjoy it for around 3/4. Me, as an adult who likes a good plot, even in a kid's film, I'm not going to give this film a let up on a free pass on the plot just because it's a kid film, because kids' films can have good plots. No reason not to have that. So me, as an adult who likes a good plot, well-developed characters, and good performances, this is just total crap. Total and complete shit.